Welcome to another installment of Between Two Earnings Calls with Mr. Investor Relations. I'm your host, 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝘶, and in today's video, we're going to talk about the HIP, Grail sports cards, and investor relations. And if you grew up in the northwest side of Chicago in the 80s or 90s, you're probably familiar with the HIP, which stands for Harlem and Irving Plaza, which is a shopping mall that stands at the corners of Harlem Avenue and Irving Park Road. And if you were coming here in the late 80s and 90s, you're probably telling your friends, meet me at the HIP, and you may have been coming to find yourself a pair of 𝗕𝗵𝗃𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀 jeans, which were way too stylish and way too expensive for me back in the day. And this brings me to the next topic, which is Grail sports cards. And if you were in Chicago in late July 2025, you're probably in Rosemont at the National Sports Card Collectors Convention. I've attended this convention off and on since 1989, and I can say that this year was insane in terms of attendance and the amount of people. It was very difficult to navigate and really was not as fun as it used to be. And this brings me to the topic of Grail sports cards. You know, for people who collected cards, a Grail sports card is typically something that was too expensive or too rare for you to own when you were growing up collecting cards. So think the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle rookie card or the 1986-87 Fleer Michael Jordan rookie card. And then a third is a very difficult chase card. And Upper Deck did this really well in the early 90s, where they would get a Hall of Famer to autograph cards, and these would be inserted randomly into packs. And then I think the second piece is the idea of, is there a really good story behind that Grail card? And so in today's video, I brought a prop, which is the 1994 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. Mickey Mantle dual autograph card. And it's also why I've chosen this location of Harlem and Irving Plaza, because in May of 1994, I came here with my mom. We were running errands at Venture. They had packs, 3 for $7. We bought $70 worth, and this card popped out. Now, this is a Grail card because in PSA 10 condition, it's a $40,000 card. This version is probably a 6 or a 7, so it might be worth, $5,000 or $6,000 at best. But it meets the rule of a Grail card. It was very hard to get. It was an iconic card in 1994, and there's a great story behind it. And this gets me to a quote from 𝗕𝗿𝗃𝗀𝗀. "The illusion has become real. The more real it becomes, the more desperate they are to get it or want it." And this sums up my experience at the National here in July, and I think it translates very well or brings this topic to investor relations really well. And I run into a lot of executives who work for companies where their stock may not have a premium valuation. Their PE is low, their price to sales is low relative to whatever industry or comp set they're looking at, or they're saying, I'll show you my ROIC if you show me yours, and I'll convince you why we're cheap. And a lot of these executives believe, hey, investors will just buy the stock because it's cheap. I don't need to create a story. I don't need a narrative. I don't need to explain why it's cheap. And this brings me back to the 𝗕𝗿𝗃𝗀𝗀 quote, that if you really want to unlock shareholder value and your stock is statistically cheap, you need high quality investor relations to develop a narrative and to help identify the key debates in the stock, and then develop catalysts that investors can tie their analysis to in order to engage with your company and buy that undervalued stock. Anyone who has read their Benjamin Graham and knows their Warren Buffett knows that a statistically cheap stock can remain cheap forever without a catalyst. With that, thanks for watching.